Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In the last episode, we covered Poliwrath, the water fighting type, and I asked you guys which rock type you wanted to see covered today, either Sudowoodo or Gigalith, and eventually, or in the end, you chose Sudowoodo, so that's who we're going to be looking at today. For next week's episode, we're going to be looking at two bug-type Pokemon that have something in common. They both have the ability Speed Boost available to them, and that's Ninjask and Scolipede. So whichever one you want to see next week covered in DataDex, be sure to let me know down below by just commenting either Ninjask or Scolipede, and whichever one gets the most votes, I'll be covering next week. But for now, let's take a look at Sudowoodo. So Sudowoodo, it's a pure rock type and is the imitation Pokemon, coming in at 185 in the National Pokédex, being introduced in the Johto region. It stands at 3 foot 11 inches or 1.2 meters tall, so it's actually a pretty small tree. Most people could just sort of climb on top of this said tree. It weighs 83.8 pounds or 38 kilograms, so it's probably lighter than a tree as well, so imitation wise, I mean, Sudowoodo doesn't even look that much like a tree. So no one's going to get fooled by a Sudowoodo, unless of course you live in the Pokemon world where everyone sees trees as just trunks with a few leaves that are actually sort of fingers. Anyway, breeding wise it's in the mineral egg group, and the male-female split is actually 50-50, so no sort of variations there. Evolution wise, Sudowoodo has one pre-evolution and a pre-evolution, which is Bonsly, or Bonsly, however you choose to say it, which is introduced in Generation 4, and Bonsly/Bonsly evolves into Sudowoodo when it's leveled up with the move Mimic, so it has to learn Mimic and then level up, and obviously then you'll get your Sudowoodo. Base stat-wise for Sudowoodo, it has a couple good stats, but the rest are pretty terrible. Its health points are 70, which aren't too high. Its attack and defense are 100 and 115. Each, which is pretty high. It's a pretty high stat, so that's sort of what we'll be looking at for Sudowoodo, is attack and its defense stat, making it a nice offensive and bulky Pokemon at the same time. Its special attack, however, is only 30, which is completely terrible, so we won't be using special attacks at all, and its special defense is 65, which isn't much better, so it is fairly weak specially. And its speed again is then 30, the same as its special attack, so again it's not a very fast Pokemon. So it's more about the defensive bulk with the offensive, physically offensive moves. Ability-wise for Sudowoodo, there are 3 abilities available for it. The first one, which is a basic ability, being Sturdy, which means it can't be knocked out in one hit. Unlike in Generation 5, in Generation 6 and obviously beyond, it means any move, not just any one-hit kill move, or I think it's Generation 4 actually, that used to be like that and it changed in Gen 5. But yeah, can't be knocked out in one hit. So if you got Sturdy, you're guaranteed at least one turn in battle, at least, unless of course they have Mold Breaker or something similar to counteract that. Its second basic ability is Rock Head, which protects it from recoil damage, which is actually pretty good because moves that give recoil damage are more powerful than moves that don't. So generally, Rock Head is a pretty good ability to have if they have the recoil moves required to use it, well. Its hidden ability is Rattled, which boosts its speed when it's hit by some types of moves, and these are Bug, Ghost and Dark, I believe, which isn't brilliant, because especially for Sudowoodo, its speed is only 30, so a boost of that speed is not going to be very effective at all, so really, this Rattled, its hidden ability isn't that useful, on Sudowoodo at least. Looking at its typing, being a pure rock type, it has a good few resistances and weaknesses, so it's an all-round type. It resists normal, fire, flying and poison type moves, and is weak to grass, water, fighting, ground and steel type moves, and takes neutral from all the rest. The only problem with this typing is because rock is generally, a physically defensive type, as Sudowoodo is, as we've spoken about. Looking at its 2 weaknesses, or its 2 main weaknesses, grass and water, they're both specially attacking moves, so it means if they get a grass or water type attack off on you, you're not going to be around for too long. So that's the only problem with Sudowoodo here, and it's having a pure rock type. Maybe if it had a rock grass type, and it would then it wouldn't be weak to grass or water, it would take neutral from fire, which wouldn't be too bad, but at least it wouldn't have as many weaknesses in terms of special attacks. It might have a couple more physical weaknesses, like flying, or it would be weaknesses being neutral for flying, but you guys get the idea. If it had less weaknesses to special attacking moves, then it might do a bit better, but unfortunately the grass and water type effectiveness against it is not going to work in your favour, to say the least. Looking at the highlighted moves and the viable moves for Sudowoodo, we have, first starting at level 36, it can learn Sucker Punch, which is pretty good because it counteracts Sudowoodo's very slow speed. So you can actually get priority off, assuming they're also attacking you. If they're not going to attack you, then you'll get priority, you just won't hit them. So Sucker Punch is a pretty good move to run on Sudowoodo. So then at level 40, it can learn Double Edge, a recoil move. So obviously this works in tandem with Rock Head to give you no recoil while still allowing you to do all this decent damage. It doesn't get stab on this, however, like if it had Head Smash. It doesn't get Head Smash, unfortunately. If it did, it'd be much more viable, much more powerful. It doesn't, so we're just stuck with Double Edge here. But Double Edge can still do a lot of damage as long as this move isn't resisted. So against other rock types or steel types, you're not going to look very happy, or even, obviously ghost types as well. Then level 47, the last move it can learn is Hammer Arm, which is the fighting type move, but it's powerful, but it does lower your speed when it's used. However, as we spoke about already, Sudowoodo's speed isn't brilliant in the first place, so unless you're also matched up against a very slow Pokemon, the speed drop isn't going to matter too much, so Hammer Arm is viable, definitely. Then moving on to some TMs, the first one we have here is TM06 Toxic, it's your basic TM, badly poisons the opponent. We'll look at more of its usage when we actually get into sets. But then moving on to TM26 Earthquake, powerful physical move. Doesn't get stabbed because it's just pure rock, but it does do a lot of damage. Earthquake is general sort of, it's loads of Pokemon get it, loads of Pokemon run it, because it's just a general coverage move, so there you are. Then moving up to TM71 Stone Edge, this is your main stab move that you could also run Rock Slide if you want a bit more accuracy, but Stone Edge is going to do more damage in the long run, so that's definitely your main stab. You definitely want to try and rely on all your sets. And then we have a couple moves here. One is a Heart Scale move, which is Wood Hammer, so once you get your Sudowoodo, if you use a Heart Scale with it, you can learn Wood Hammer, which is a grass type move, funnily enough, which makes sense, I guess, because it's a tree, and Wood Hammer actually inflicts recoil. However, because you can have Rock Head, you can counteract that recoil. So again, Double Edge and Wood Hammer both make Rock Head a very viable move for Sudowoodo. Not a move, an ability, you guys get the idea. Then, moving on to some egg moves. One egg move is Curse, which actually boosts your attack and your defense and lowers your speed. So attack, defense, speed. What have we spoken about already? We said its attack and defense are high, and its speed is low, and we don't really care about the speed. So it's very viable for Sudowoodo that you can sit there, curse up, increase your attack, so you're going to do more damage, increase your defense, so physical attack is going to do less to you, and your speed gets dropped, but it's not like speed really matters for you. Especially if you have Sucker Punch. Only downside to using Curse a lot is your special defense is left wide open, as it is in the first place, so really, it's a viable strategy using Curse, but if the enemy has any sense, they're just going to switch to a special attacker and then wipe you out of that. One fine move here we have is either an egg move or an ORS shooter move, which is Stealth Rock. Now, Sudowoodo having high defensive stats, or a defensive stat, allows it to at least take some moves, and it being a rock type, it can learn Stealth Rock, which is a very useful thing to set up on your enemy's side, so Stealth Rock is definitely viable. That's it for the moves there, so if we move to look at the setups now, we have 3 coming up here. First one is just all out offensive, second one is pretty much defensive, and the third one is sort of a mix, so we'll go through them. First one, as I said, is pure offensive. The move set is going to be Stone Edge, Wood Hammer, Earthquake, and a Sucker Punch. The ability in this case is Rock Head, Nature is Adamant, and the held item is a Choice Band. EVs are putting maximum attack, maximum speed, and the rest in health points. So, let's talk through the moveset first. Stone Edge, main stab, no more needs to be said. Wood Hammer, powerful move, and since we have Rock Head as our ability, don't have to worry about the recoil. It also gives you some coverage as well against other rock types, ground types, water types, etc. Then we have Earthquake and Sucker Punch as the last 2 moves. Sucker Punch is there in case you need priority. Say there's a Pokemon you know is going to be able to kill you. You may as well Sucker Punch them just to get some more damage off, for example, before you get killed. Earthquake, again, good coverage move. Everyone loves Earthquake. Why would you not run it? You could run Hammer Arm instead of one of these moves. Which one would you want to take out? Possibly Earthquake, possibly Wood Hammer. You want to take Sucker Punch out because using Hammer Arm is going to lower your speed anyway, so that priority needs to be kept, I guess. But yeah, as I said, ability is Rock Head, so we can get our free recoil. We could also run Double Edge on this set as well because of Rock Head, but Rock Head's just there for Wood Hammer. Nature is Adamant because we want all the power we can, and we don't care about special moves. You could run Jolly, but given your really low speed, it's not really going to help you too much, so you may as well just go for the extra power. Held item here is a Choice Band. so that's just going to power up the first move you use and lock you into it. So you want to be sort of careful about choosing which move, because if you know there's if you know there's a Pokemon with Levitate or a Pokemon that's a flying type on the enemy team still, you don't really want to go for Earthquake, do you? So you want to think about it. Sudowoodo possibly works better as a late game, late match, a late battle Pokemon, because it's just got too many sort of threats at the start of the match. Whereas at the end of the match, if you've taken out all the water and grass types, all the special attackers, and you've just got physical attackers left, it's going to do much better there. EV wise, maximum attack and speed, just so put a bit in speed, or put maximum speed, just try and make you faster, and obviously bulk up your attack too, and then slide those last few points on health points. You could put maximum defense rather than maximum speed if you're going to give up on speed entirely, but as I said, all that's really going to take is a special attacker to come in, so you might want that extra speed just for those times where it might matter. If we move on to look at the second set now, which is, as I said earlier, a defensive set. Moveset here is Stealth Rock, Toxic, Stone Edge and Wood Hammer. Ability is Rock Head, Nature is an Impish one this time, held items are leftovers, and the EV is going to be maximum health points, maximum defense, and the rest in attack. So, Stealth Rock's here because as soon as you get into battle, you want a Stealth Rock. Get those Stealth Rocks up as soon as possible, and get that done, generally. Toxic is there because this set isn't really bad dealing damage, so once you've done your Stealth Rocks, you could think about Toxicking an opponent too. Is Toxicking no, Toxicking not really a phrase, but I'll go with it. You could think about using Toxic because, it's going to badly poison an opponent's Pokemon. Why would you not want to use it? So you can definitely think about using that if you don't want to go for full offensiveness with Stone Edge and Wood Hammer. Stone Edge and Wood Hammer, the two choices there. Stone Edge is your stab, so you definitely want that. Wood Hammer is there because it's the most powerful move you have apart from, ignoring Stone Edge. Wood Hammer is the most, I think, the move with the highest power available to you, and obviously Rock Head counts as other recoil. You could take off Rock Head and use another move, say Hammer Arm, or not Double Edge. You guys get the Hammer Arm or Earthquake, because then obviously if you take that move off, you don't need Rock Head anymore. So you could run Sturdy just in case you get an enemy that's got loads of special attack are just going to want to kill you otherwise, because Sturdy could then allow you to at least get those Stealth Rocks up, for example, of course. But yeah, ability Rock Head unless you're choosing a different move rather than Wood Hammer. Nature is Impish just to get that physical defense bulked up as much as possible, because we're not even going to try and take special attacks. We want to take physical attacks. This allows you to switch in on them, and then possibly force a switch if a physical attacker is in battle. Leftovers being your held item is, it's your health point restoration. Is all Sudowoodo's got apart from rest, and rest sleep talk is not viable on Sudowoodo really, because you could be asleep, special attacker swoops in, uses a move, you're gone. It's not going to work. But leftovers is there as your health point restoration. EVs, maximum health points in defense, just so you can take as many moves as possible, especially with the leftovers combined there. And the rest in attack, you could put rest in speed just for a little speed boost, but really rest in attack is just going to help you do a bit more damage in the long term. How would you use it? Switch in, Stealth Rock, Toxic if you need, or possibly switch out if the enemy is not, the best matchup for you. Just try and get the Stealth Rocks up as soon as possible. As I mentioned, Sudowoodo is a late game Pokemon, really, so you could switch in, Stealth Rock, switch out, and then sort of hold it around till later. If the Stealth Rock gets taken out, you can bring Sudowoodo back in Stealth Rock again, or bring it back in and start doing some damage in the late game, for example, of course. But that's how I use that set. So now if we move on to the final set for Sudowoodo, this is a set that incorporates Curse and what I spoke about earlier. So Curse is the first move in the moveset. Then we have Wood Hammer, Stone Edge, and then Hammer Arm or Earthquake, or alternatively you could run Double Edge or whatever you want here really. Ability is also Rock Head again, so we're going 3 Rock Heads apart from maybe the last set if you didn't want Wood Hammer. Nature can be Adamant or Impish, depending whether you want to go full power or full defense. And then held item here is leftovers again. EVs are maximum attack, maximum defense, rest and speed. So this set is about coming in, getting 1 or 2 curses up to boost your physical defense so they won't be able to touch you, and also boost your physical attack so then you can start doing some damage. So you really want to find a good switch on this. Don't switch on a special attacker because they're not going to give a shit about curse. They're just going to attack you and you're going to be gone. So you can just try and get a good switch in. Maybe if there's an enemy Pokemon that's paralyzed or asleep, you can try and do that. Curse, and then start doing some damage basically, and just hope there's no special attackers coming in. If one does come in, you want to switch out. As I said many times, Sudowoodo is late game, so you want to get rid of the threats for it first and then bring it in. So if there's no special attackers left, why not bring it in? Bring it in, curse a couple of times, and then those physical attackers are not going to be able to touch you at all. So you can just sit there, curse it up as much as you want, your leftovers are going to restore your health points while the enemy tries to take you out, and then you can just wood hammer, stone edge, and whatever else your way to victory. But yeah, Sudowoodo is really late game, late match. Don't bring it out, don't lead with it, don't think, yes, I'm going to set some curses up and swoop for the whole team. It's not going to happen. Sudowoodo has to be used when all the threats have gone. But that's really it for this episode of the Pokemon DataDex, guys. For today, as I said at the start, please be sure to vote on next week's Pokemon down below in the comments section. Either Ninjask or Scolipede, the one that gets the most votes, will be covered next week. But for now, this is it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye, my friends.